Welcome to Mr. O'Brien's OPIS Science Workshop and Laboratory of the Mind, where I teach you to think like a scientist. Today we're going to focus on the concept of scientific literacy. What exactly does that mean? Let's look at the second word first, literacy. Probably most of us know what that means. The ability to read, and actually the ability to write. But not just to read and write, but also to have some competence in a specified area. That makes sense, doesn't it? So what does that mean in relationship to science? Scientific literacy is the ability to read and write about scientific subjects with competence and knowledge. That sounds like a pretty tall order, doesn't it? But don't worry, you don't have to be Einstein. In fact, scientifically literate people are just regular people like you and me. Your mom, your dad, your brother and sister, aunts and uncles. But this doesn't mean that everybody is scientifically literate. No, it takes some special training. It takes some thoughtfulness. It also takes some hard work. So let's look again at this. What exactly does it mean to be scientifically literate? Now we have this definition, and this is from the New South Wales Department of Education. What is scientific literacy? Notice this little icon up here. This little circle, investigating scientifically, evaluating, planning, conducting, processing, and then doing it again, all for the purpose of using scientific knowledge to identify questions. Questions are a very important part of this. Questions to be able to draw evidence, evidence-based conclusions, to help us to understand and to make decisions about a lot of things. Decisions about the natural world we live in, but also decisions about our life, things that matter to us. A scientifically literate person is an average person like you and me who's been trained to think this way. And it's important because every day we read stories about everything from, global warming to cloning, genetically modified food, space exploration, DNA evidence, new drugs that promise to improve your life, make you look younger, whatever. It can be mind-boggling. As a consumer, and as a citizen in a democracy, we need to be able to evaluate these claims, to do so critically, especially when they deal with scientific subjects, and to do so in an intelligent way. Right now we're going to look at one area in particular, something that we all do, eat. Let's look at how we can understand food labels. So here's a typical food label and some nutrition facts. We're going to want to start here looking at the serving size and the servings per container. Notice this one has 1 cup and 2 containers per serving. Then how many calories? But calories don't tell the whole story. What kind of calories, what kind of food are we putting in our body? So as we go down the list here, we see all kinds of things that can help us understand about the food we're eating. So for instance, this section talks about the total fat, different kinds of fat, saturated fat, trans fat, cholesterol, sodium. Notice that 5% or less is good, 20% or more is high. And that makes sense, doesn't it? We eat 3 times a day, so any more than a third a day is way too much, and 20% is getting there, especially considering probably most of us snack and eat other things besides our big meals, and just one thing. So we want to limit these things. Also, we have other things to look at. Sodium, the amount of salt, potassium, fibers, sugars, proteins, vitamins, and so on. It can get pretty complicated. There's a lot to learn, is there not? So when we look at some labels, we see that it can be mind-boggling indeed. For instance, look at this one. Do you know what all this stuff is? What's potassium bromate? Whoa, I don't know. Can you even say this one down here? Azotocarbonamide? Whoa, that's a tongue twister. Is that thing good to put in your body? Do you even know? Well, in a future episode of our workshops, we're going to look at some of those specific things. But today we're going to focus on a really common chemical that all of us put in our body every day, and most of us put too much in it. What is that? Sugar. Now, not to pick just on the Coca-Cola bottling company, but in fact, soft drinks in general have a lot of things in there that aren't good for us, in particular, sugars. Look at this. The typical can, a 12-ounce can of Coca-Cola, has 39 grams of sugar in it. Well, most of us here in the United States probably aren't too well versed in the metric system, So just how much sugar is that? Well, let's convert. 39 grams is about 7.8 or 8 teaspoons of sugar. Picture this. Could you imagine yourself sitting down to a meal and eating a bowl of sugar, 8 teaspoons of nothing but sugar? Well, I hope not. But the sad fact is, most Americans actually eat more than that. Not as pure sugar, of course, but in the food we eat. According to the American Heart Association, the average adult in the United States takes in 22 teaspoons of added sugar a day. That's like 3 times what we just talked about. That's 150 pounds of sugar a year. That's like a whole person made out of sugar. Yuck! Teenagers eat even more, 34 teaspoons a day. This is more than twice the amount of sugar we should be eating, and it's not good. Too much sugar in your diet can cause you serious problems. It can lead to obesity, heart disease, diabetes, and even cancer. So, what should we do? We should learn to be a smart consumer, read food labels, and be balanced in our approach. Again, in future episodes of our Science Workshop and Laboratory of the Mind, we'll look at some of those other tongue-twisting ingredients that are on food labels and how to understand what they are and what they mean. But now you can focus on the concept and the idea of sugar and limiting that in your diet. Scientific literacy, bringing the power of scientific knowledge to your life. This lesson was prepared in connection and in line with the standards of the next generation science standards.